Today on Zero to Awesome, we're doing something we haven't done in quite a while, a video about tools. And usually when we do tool videos, I get a lot of comments about how I'm a complete idiot and I have no idea what I'm talking about. And while that might not be entirely incorrect, I do want to point out one thing. The US Air Force uses something they call a mission capable rate, which is a measure of how many of their airplanes are working at any given time. And last year, the Air Force's mission capable rate was 63%, which means at any given time, 62% of their airplanes can be in the air doing airplane stuff. 63%, not that bad, but personally, I own 3 project cars, and at any given time, 2 of them are actually running, which means my mission capable rate is 67%. So I'm not saying that I'm better than the US Air Force. I'm just saying that 67 is a bigger number than 63. And now that I say that, it dawns on me that the Air Force has like missiles and guns and planes with nuclear bombs, and I actually have none of that. So I take all of that back. I am a horrible mechanic.
Taking a shot.
Welcome back at 6:09. We are working to learn more about a house explosion in an Austin neighborhood.
So you want a project car, something cool, something old, something fun to drive around. That's great, but guess what? When you buy one, you're not just gonna buy a project car, you're also gonna buy a lot of new tools. And that's because, well, old cars take a lot of special tools that you probably don't have lying around. This thing's just so damn cool. And there's lots of YouTube videos and blogs and forum posts that'll tell you, all the tools you need in your garage. And those are great for things like oil changes, tire rotations, basic maintenance. But if you want to work on an old car, there's some specific things you're going to need. And today, we're going to cover those specific things that you really have to have if you want to keep these things on the road, or in my case, get them on the road. Now, the first category of project car or old car tools that we're going to talk about is what I like to call the unstickers, because everything on your car is going to be stuck. It doesn't matter if this was a barn find in the desert, it's never seen moisture, you're going to have rusty stuck bolts just because they're old, and old things don't like to move. I'm getting older and I don't like to move. Of course, to unstick bolts, you always start with WD-40, and we all know WD-40 sucks at unsticking bolts. So actually get a good penetrating oil. Croil is hard to find, but it's really good. So I usually use PB Blaster. This stuff, you can soak something down the night ahead of time before you work on the car. It actually helps loosen things up. But ultimately, when that fails, I like to move on to fire, propane, torch, MAP gas, torch. If you can get into an area where you're not going to melt something in your car, or not start a fire, or at least not start a fire that you can't pull out. A little bit of heat, a little bit of penetrating oil, that takes care of most of your really stuck bolts. To go along with all of that fire and heat and oil, you probably need a good big breaker bar to really break loose those stuck nuts and bolts. What I use, and I like much better than breaker bar, is power, specifically an impact wrench. This is a pneumatic impact wrench. They work fine. Years ago, I upgraded to a cordless electric impact wrench. This is actually one of the first ones DeWalt made, and you can see it's pretty big. It's brushed, it's not brushless. It has a lot of torque, and it actually came with this little battery. And what I've done over the years is I've upgraded to a smaller, still same half-inch anvil impact wrench. I just threw a bigger battery on it. It's not as powerful as a big impact wrench, but it can fit in tiny little places that this big boy can't fit into. And I find myself reaching for this so often that I actually went out and got another one with the smaller 3/8 anvil. So we've got them in all sorts of different sizes. Between fire, penetrating oil, and the impact wrenches, I can usually get stuff unstuck without breaking it. But that brings us to the second old car tool you need, is when you get things unstuck, there's a good chance you broke something. So phase 2, we have the unbreakers, the fixers. We'll come up with a better name. Wow, look at this broken bolt in the oil sump of my old Volkswagen. Inevitably, when you've been using your unstickers, you're gonna wind up with a rounded off bolt head or a broken bolt or a stud stuck in something. And so you need your unbreakers, unbrokeners. I guess a better name is your drill bit extractors and your reverse drill bits. So these, pretty simple, you put them in a drill, you put them on a wrench, you run it in reverse, it bites into whatever is stuck and hopefully backs it out without having to weld a nut onto it and get it out that way, or worst case, having to take something to a machine shop and embarrassingly pay someone else to undo your horrible mistake. But once that's done, once you've successfully extracted your stuck bolt, you're probably gonna have some screwed up threads, or worst case, a bolt or a screw that you actually have to reuse because you can't get another one. You have to wait weeks for the right part to show up from some German car parts distributor that makes one bolt that only existed 70 years ago. We're gonna not talk about that. So over here, we have a tap and die set. And this is just a cheap Harbor Freight quality tap and die set, but it has saved me so many times. The tap and die, in conjunction with one of the best garage things ever, your thread checker. You can figure out what thread your bolts were. You can re-tap them. You can tap holes. You can fix threads. You can chase threads. Use a little bit of oil, maybe even use your penetrating oil with your tap, with your die. This has saved me so many times to be able to fix a screw or a bolt hole, at least temporarily, while I waited for the new part to show up. Item number 3 that you need for working on old cars or project cars. And let's see if you can guess what this item is based on the following 3 things. We have a 70mm hex bit. We have a set of triple square spline drive bits and some overhead cam locking pliers. That's right, the answer is things that I have needed in the last couple months that you can't buy at AutoZone. So item number 3 is do your research and buy the specialty tools ahead of time. These are all things that I had to have to finish projects. If I had to run down to AutoZone, I would have been screwed because they don't sell them and they don't rent them. So go do your research through books, through forums. When you buy your parts, a lot of times part sites will say like, hey, if you're buying a crankshaft seal, we recommend your crankshaft holders who can actually undo the nut on the front of a crankshaft. So do your research, make sure you have the right tools, because I've been stuck in situations where I take something apart and I don't have what I need to put it back together, and then it sits on a lift or it sits in the garage for a couple weeks while you wait for the special part to show up from Bulgaria. This was lost in the mail in Bulgaria for a while. So do your research, make sure you have what you need, because otherwise your readiness percentage is just gonna go down. You gotta keep it above 63%. I know I just mentioned do your research before you get going in the project, buy the right parts, buy the right tools. Item 4 is buy the book. So I use forums all the time. I use blog posts, I use YouTube videos. I mean, you can always trust this YouTube channel. But you know what's a little better than some random guy in his garage who promises he knows what he's doing? An actual book written by a company who bought a car, used mechanics, used engineers. They took it apart and they're going to give you things like torque specifications that have been tried, they've been true, they've been tested. And it's not some guy in a garage saying, oh, trust me, I did this once. So every project car I have, every car I have had, I've bought the book, and these things have saved me, especially when you're dirty, you're greasy, you're covered in oil, and you're going through an iPhone screen to find a blog post from 2 years ago that told you how to do it. The books, they're so handy. You can find them on Amazon. You can get them at libraries. You can get them at half-price books. Each one of these is less than 20 bucks. Just buy the book, keep it handy. You're gonna need it. So we have our unstickers. We have our fixing what the unstickers did when you were unsticking. We have our specialty tools. We have our books, which brings us to item number 5, and I think the most important item you need to have in your garage, and something that took me a long time to learn when you're working on old cars, is your scrapers. This whole drawer is nothing but sharp things and scrapers. And let's just go through a little scenario. This is the natural progression that happens every single time I have to put a new seal or a new gasket on something. I get the old one off, there's little bits of the old gasket stuck to something, so it's time to start scraping. We start, of course, with a box cutter blade. I take one of my box cutter, I start scraping with this. About 30 minutes later, my fingers hurt, they might be bleeding, and I noticed I haven't really removed gasket material. What I've done is just screw up the metal surface. I need to put the new gasket on. So we go, oh no, this is a bad idea. So we get our actual little scraper with a flat razor blade. This definitely feels much better in the fingers, but you also just completely continue to destroy the surface of whatever you need to put a gasket on, because again, you're using a metal blade at a weird angle. So you remember, oh no, I bought an actual scraper just for this specific purpose. But also this, as it does, again, feel better in the hands, this blade is gonna screw up the surface you're trying to mount something on. And so then you remember, oh, you know what? I actually went out and bought this other scraper from the auto parts store, like 20 bucks at AutoZone for this piece of crap, which is completely dull. I don't know, are you supposed to sharpen these? This does nothing, it removes nothing. This is garbage, wish I didn't own this. So then eventually, what I do is I go online, I go to Amazon, and I order a 250 pack of plastic razor blades. They look just like your metal straight razor blades, but guess what? They're plastic, they're not really going to destroy anything. I put it in my scraper, I get a can of brake cleaner, and between the brake cleaner, the plastic scraper, and my fingers, which are now completely numb, I can finally get the gasket on to put on my thermostat, which is supposed to be a 30-minute job. It's now 3 days later. I spent $100 on scraper tools, but this is fine because because we love old cars. So fifth, and the most important tool that you need when you're working on old cars are something to scrape. And I recommend plastic razor blades and brake cleaner. If we were to recap, which is exactly what we're gonna do right now, if you wanna keep an old car on the road or a project car, get into it, you're gonna need all the basic tools. You're gonna need the wrenches, you're gonna need the screwdrivers, but also, in my opinion, you're gonna need a way to get things unstuck. When you get things unstuck, you're gonna break things, so you need a way to fix the things you're going to break with your taps and dies and pullers and fun stuff. Also, old cars, you can't get a lot of these parts, you can't get a lot of these tools that you need from AutoZone, from O'Reilly's, from whatever's down the road. So do your research and get the specialty tools and parts ahead of time, because Amazon doesn't have a lot of these. You're gonna order these things from strange countries and tiny little companies that are run out of people's sheds, and it's gonna take a while to get these. And speaking of research, internet's great. Always trust this YouTube channel, maybe not, but I trust the books and the engineers and these companies a little more than I trust some guy on a forum. Forums, great advice, great resources, use them all the time. When it comes to fluids and oil quantities and torque specifications, I tend to go by the book. And then most importantly, I spend more time scraping gaskets than I do driving cars. So find a way to, when you're replacing parts, get things nice and clean before you put the new part on. Otherwise, you're gonna be doing the job again. And you can actually trust my advice, because as we pointed out, I've got better uptime than the Air Force.